Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz went at it in a CNN debate. And I want to show you this exchange because I think it really demonstrates how disingenuous Ted Cruz is.
And in fact, I'll quote from Bernie in the last debate because he was very explicit. This isn't about taxing the rich. What the Democrats want to do is tax the middle class. Here's what Bernie said. This is a quote. So yes, to answer your question, Jake, if we can explain to people, yeah, you're going to be paying more in taxes. Now, he said it's going to be a progressive tax system. The wealthy are going to pay their fair share, not the middle class, not the working class, but everybody will pay some more. So you're a single mom working. He says you're going to pay some more. You're a small business owner. He says you're going to pay some more. And the reason is there aren't enough millionaires and billionaires to pay for all the socialism that Bernie and the Democrats want to give away.
This is why politics in America stinks.
Thank you.
Because that's right. Because you forgot the other half of the sentence. And what the other half of that statement said is, yeah, you may pay more in taxes if you're in the middle class for a Medicare for all single-payer health care bill, but you're not going to have to pay your private premiums to an insurance company, and you will be better off. Now, Ted stays up nights worrying that somebody's going to pay more in taxes. Apparently, you don't worry that there are families in America paying $15,000 or $20,000 a year for insurance to private companies.
Well, Bernie,
that's okay for you.
Bernie, I do worry about it.
Yeah, well, you didn't give my whole point.
But Obamacare caused that.
Obamacare did not cause that.
So Bernie, a couple of simple facts.
But one point. Let me just say, all right, and I'll give it back to you. Next time you quote me, give the whole quote.
I read a whole paragraph.
Well, the quote was long.
I'm sorry I didn't read the whole speech.
Well, you took out the essence of what it was.
Okay, but you're right. Look, this divide shows the difference between Democrats and Republicans. What Bernie wants to do is tax the living daylights out of you. Take all your money, and then...
Did I say that?
Yes, you did, because you said we're going to tax the middle class, and then you said, but we, the Democrats, are going to give it back to you. We're going to give you free stuff. We're going to give you free health care. We're going to give you free education. But you know what? It's going to be Bernie and Maria deciding what you get. Tim and I have a much simpler view. You get to keep your money. You decide if you want to spend it on braces for your kid, if you want to invest it, it's your decision, not politicians.
If I want to bring this back for 1 second to the corporate tax.
Just quoting me, Jake. What Bernie said is that the United States of America should join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people. And when we do it, we're going to lower the cost of health care for the middle class.
I would love to get this back to...
It's always a bizarre thing to watch Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders go at it, because effectively what you have is the politician who really comes across as the most authentic and honest and straight shooting and truth-telling versus the one who comes across as the smarmiest, slimiest, sleaziest, biggest liar. You know, and by the way, the American people might actually agree with that assessment. I know they agree with me about Bernie Sanders being the most favorable. That's what all the polls show. I don't know what the polls show about Ted Cruz, but I would imagine he's closer to the bottom there in terms of how liked he is. So you get two contrasting worldviews, but also styles, where Ted Cruz seems overly calculating and like a sniveling little weasel, trying to do rhetorical tricks and sophistry to defeat you, as opposed to just being honest and having a real exchange of competing philosophies. So what's so crazy about that is he's clearly trying to take Bernie out of context to his face. Who does that? Like, Bernie's standing right there, and Ted Cruz really gives a misleading quote and characterization of Bernie's argument. So he literally said at one point, oh, Bernie and the Democrats want to, quote, take all your money and then give it back to you in terms of, like, free stuff, he says. Literally, nobody has said that on the left. Nobody. Nobody has said we want to, quote, take all your money. Nobody said that, Ted. Nobody. That is a gross mischaracterization. People on the left typically say, yeah, raise taxes on the rich, raise taxes on corporations. There are some people on the left who say raise them on the middle class, but again, what does Bernie say? The other half of that argument is you're actually net going to save money, even if I raise your taxes. Why? Well, take a look at healthcare, for example. If I get rid of your premium, which let's say for argument's sake is you paying $10,000 a year for healthcare, what if I tell you that you only have to pay $5,000 a year? But I raise your taxes $5,000, but I give you back the $10,000 you paid as a premium. Then what? Then technically I, quote, raised your taxes, but I also net saved you money. Because you do the math on that and you find out, oh, you don't have to deal with the rapacious, for-profit, price-gouging middlemen who were screwing you. See, that's the part of the argument that Ted Cruz doesn't give. And he doesn't give it because he's a liar. Because he's not trying to, have an honest discussion here. He's trying to win. So what do? Yeah, I'll just give half the quote from Bernie, not give the remaining context, and act like there you have it. So I want you to keep your money, and Bernie wants to take your money. And by the way, that's not even true. According to the Congressional Budget Office, this tax plan that Ted Cruz is in favor of raises taxes on everybody making $75,000 or less. So middle class and poor people get their taxes raised under this plan. But Ted Cruz is lying to you and saying, no, I want you to keep more of your money. Bernie wants to take more of your money. See, this is why it's not... Bernie's right. This is why politics stinks in America, because this isn't two genuine competing philosophies. This is one side that is lying and straw-manning, and the other side that's being honest and just having to take a fucking baseball bat and keep swinging it to beat away the lies. I mean, that's what that is. Bernie's struggling there just to get all the information out there that combats his nonsense. So again, let's look at this in its totality. Ted Cruz characterizes Bernie Sanders as, you want to, quote, Democrats and you want to, quote, take all your money, the middle class, talking to regular people. They want to take all your money. That's what they want to do. Bernie's like, no, we want to raise taxes on the rich, but even in instances where I say I want to raise taxes on the middle class, you will net save money because I'm getting rid of the private taxes, like premiums for your health insurance. And by the way, that's, I think, the best way to phrase this, too, is, because that's what Bernie's talking about. He's talking about, even in instances where I raise your taxes, I'm eliminating the private taxes, which come to way more. And by the way, Ted Cruz acts like a fiscal hawk. Continuing the healthcare system we have now over the next decade costs $49 trillion. You know what it would cost if we stopped the current system and went to a Medicare for All system? $32 trillion. So you actually save $17 trillion by doing Medicare for All. So there's the real deficit hawk, fiscal conservative, free market position. You know, all these guys pretend like they care so deeply about the debt and the deficit. Well, here, we're presenting you with an opportunity to cut $17 trillion and to have that much in savings. Why wouldn't you do it? Because it's not about a philosophical disagreement. Like I said all along, in terms of Ted Cruz and many of his Republican colleagues, it's about doing the bidding of in this case, the private insurance companies. Because they take massive contributions from them, political contributions for them. So they're doing their bidding. That's what it is. So they'll come up with whatever kind of bullshit rationalizations they can, and they'll smear their opponents and strawman their opponents. But they're not doing it because Ted Cruz has a genuine philosophical disagreement. No, he's doing it because he's the bitch to his political donors. In this case, the for-profit health insurance industry. In other cases, Wall Street. In other cases, the military-industrial complex. So that's why you get these disingenuous tactics from Ted Cruz. Because if he's being honest, what is he going to say? well, I lie and say I want to cut your taxes, but every objective analysis says I literally want to raise your taxes if you make $75,000 or less. That's Ted Cruz being objective. If he was being honest, he'd have to say that. Yeah, I'm raising your taxes as I pretend and I tell you that I'm not, and I'm cutting your taxes. I'm going to smear Bernie by saying he wants to raise your taxes, even though at like 8 other times in this debate, Bernie's like, no, I want to cut middle-class taxes. I want to raise them on the rich. I'm going to lie and say that, Bernie wants to, quote, take all your money. And I'm going to lie and say a Medicare for all system is worse, even though every other modern nation has one version or another of a single-payer system, and they do way better than we do. So if he was being honest, he'd have to say, look, I'm just wrong. I'm just wrong. I'm going to raise your taxes. He's going to either keep your taxes the same or raise them a little bit, but eliminate the private taxes. So net save you money, give everybody health care. He can't win in a real exchange of ideas and policies. So just smear, straw man, misquote, give half a quote, don't give the full context. These are the kind of slimy tactics that you'd expect from Ted Cruz. And again, he does it right to Bernie's face. These guys, man, they're con men, they're charlatans. And let's be clear about something. This isn't me saying like all conservatives are like this. No, there are, without a doubt, there are honest ones out there who truly believe in their position. But the ones who truly believe in their position and can make a good argument for it, they don't have to straw man their opponent. They don't have to smear their opponent. You can be honest about what Bernie Sanders wants to do and say, look, he's going to net save you money and give you health care paid for via taxes and give you college paid for via taxes. You can be honest about what your opponent wants to do and then say, here's why I disagree with that and here's my counter proposal. Ted Cruz doesn't do that. He smears his opponent. He lies. He strawmans. He obfuscates. He deflects. And it's disgusting.